Hey everyone, this is my outcome from my capital budgeting simulation for finance. As we can see, my final APV was 678.77 right here for the year 2014. I obtained this APV by my revenue, operating income, and net income, which did increase over the past few years. In 2009, my revenues went from 245.75 to what they are currently at 342.10. That increased by about 96. Operating income, it first started out about 22.6 and increased to 39.8 and had an increase of 17. The net income also did increase by a small amount. As we could see right here by this chart right here, I generated more than what was forecasted for that year, so that is always a good thing. Companies never want to be losing money. Go down here to the pie chart, and as we can see, my revenue by division right here is taken up by two big portions, which is production and retail. So my production is right now at 233.58 and my retail here is at 235.82. So as we can see, most of my money is coming from the retail division. Licensing isn't very big in this sort of circumstance, but where we do see it actually increase is when we go to operating profit by division. Here we see licensing taking over almost the entire pie chart. So the reason why it is that big is because it is the profit by division, which licensing has hardly any expenses taken out whatsoever. It is almost all straight income without expenses taken out. As we can see, the second runner-up is obviously production. It's at 11.18 right now, and retail is at 4.29. My graph doesn't look very dramatic, but it obviously is good because it is increasing, and it increased quite a little bit. When I first started doing these simulations, my licensing would be all the way up here and these peaks, and it would look like a great graph, but my company APV never reached to this actual level. So whenever I was debating whether or not to continue to keep trying to get a better APV, I would always come over here and look at these project updates. So what these project updates do is tell you about how your investments are performing and what kind of what the outcome was of your investment. So right here we can see for my 2014, I invested in actually 4 different things, and they were the EDI supplier software system, dollhouses with miniature dolls, coupon promotion and frequent shopper campaign, and the Young Authors book series. So just for the EDI supplier and software system, the new system performed better than expected with regard to the SG&A and working capital savings. So it lets you know pretty much how, if your investment is performing bad, and where it's going to go wrong. So right here, the coupon says the campaign was effective but fell somewhat short of the retail division's revenue target. So it didn't quite meet what it needed to at that rate. And what we can do, so I can go and look at all of my project updates, is click on this tab, and we can see my updates from 2013 all the way down to 2009. So I actually started off kind of heavy rather than what other individuals might like to do, but I invested in 4 right off the bat, which was the new doll film and DVD, retail store expansion in the Northeast, Match My Doll clothing line, and the toddler doll accessory line. So As for the retail store expansion in the Northeast, it said that it generated more revenue than expected and were profitable in the right way. So that is very good to hear, honestly. In 2010, I actually only invested into two because I remember that their costs in 2010, they were exceedingly higher than what your 5-year earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, and also the NPV and the internal rate of return. The numbers just weren't looking well in that time, so I only invested in two. In 2011, I invested in four. As we could see, in 2012, I also invested in four, as well as 2013. I chose to invest in bulk because with the right decisions of looking at the internal rate of return and net present value, because those are two main areas that you want to make your choice on. This is the project details, which goes into expressing the project discount rate. What I like about this is that if you, instead of having to hop back and forth, it actually tells you right here the year that you invested in this in. If your risk is low or high or medium. So as for all of these that I have invested in, which are from right here down, I can click on any single one of them and it will tell me if my risk was high, low, or medium. And also it will explain all of the investment analysis and goes all the way into the cash flow statement. So as for this, when we go down to the cash flow statement, first we want to look at the total, see if it's increasing, see if it's actually making you profit in some sort of way. And as we can see here, I am increasing by a decent amount instead of staying at the same level or just increasing by one or two numbers per year. So my ending cash balance is also increasing. We can see it's increasing by about 4 at first, and then it slowly increases to increase about 5. Then we can go back up and I will show you one where the numbers are fairly neutral. But they do, however, increase over time, which is always great, and we always want that. So see, this risk went to medium, but I invested in this because the costs are hardly anything, and especially for 2015, the costs weren't going to be anything. So my NPV isn't very desirable, but it was a money-making profit. As we can see down here, when we go to the ending cash balance, we can see how these numbers just lag on and slowly continue to change throughout the year by one number every average 2 years. One other thing we also want to look at is go to the income statement and balance sheet tab. And I look at the company consolidated tab because it gives me my numbers as a whole to see how the entire company is doing in each department. So what we want to look at is the gross profit. We can see that in 2014, I will start at a gross profit at 228.72, and I'm forecasted to increase all of my profits to 447.85 by 2024. To do that sort of number in 10 years, that sounds pretty good to me, and honestly, that would be desirable for almost any company out there. As we can see, the increase in SG&A gets taken out, and then the EBITDA, which is the earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. So that number continues to increase, which we want to see as well, because that is our raw money right there. The net income also increasing. And then we go all the way down to the total net assets, which also increases, and the total liabilities and shareholders' equity, which we can see increases pretty drastically over that 10-year period. What I'd like to end this on is just going back over where my money actually came from, and that's how I get a better understanding looking at these graphs and getting a feel for how everything's going. So as we can see, my retail was at 235.82. My revenue by division was at 233.58, and my licensing was at a little 47.88. Thank you.